What is up, guys? This is the ZeusTuber, and today I'm here with my review for the movie Air, which stars Norman Reedus and Djimon Hounsou. It was directed by Christian Cantamessa, which this is his first directorial debut, because he's really just been a part of a lot of video games like Red Dead Redemption and so forth. From Rockstar, he's usually on a video game team. This is his first feature film, as far as I can tell on IMDb. Produced by Robert Kirkman, David Alper's first. This is Robert Kirkman's first movie that he's produced. It was in partnership with Skybound and stuff, so it's really I'm going to just call it a Skybound film because they were a part of it. And let's just face it, we're Walking Dead people here, so this is the reason you're watching this review, because you like Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, etc. Anyway, this movie, it has a 5.2 rating in IMDb, which I think is a tragedy, because I thought it was actually really, really well done. It was you could tell it was a low-budget film. There's only two main actors. There is a kind of a third, but you gotta see the movie to understand what I'm talking about. It's on one location the entire time, and it doesn't require too many special effects, because there are a couple scenes where it's like, alright, that's definitely CGI or something like that, but it's used sparingly, and it doesn't glare out at you so much, because they don't use it that much. It takes place, the majority of it, in one little central area. There's a couple different branching hallways and such, but besides that, it was very, very small. It felt small, and that's part of the atmosphere of the film. It's a claustrophobic film. It focuses a lot on dialogue and the tension between the two characters of Norman Reedus, who plays Bauer, and Djimon Hounsou, who plays the character of Cartwright. They're both engineers who are working down in this facility. I don't want to spoil too much, because I personally enjoyed it. I think you guys would like it too, if you like Norman Reedus or Djimon Hounsou, either one. And it's their job to keep they're called sleepers in the film. It's a bunch of people who are seemingly experts at their field. There's a guy who's an expert at theology. I'm sure there's an architecture guy in there somewhere. Herpetology, I believe, was one. I'm probably saying that wrong. But they're all these different people in these cryogenic sleeping chambers of sorts. And because the world ended. There's some kind of chemical weapon that just wiped out the world, and then these people were the ones the government saved. So once the air toxicity is down, these people can go and rebuild society. That kind of thing. That's the gist of it. And Norman Reedus and Djimon Hounsou are two people who are in charge of one little facility to watch this group of people. It's like Lost. You know how there's different bunkers underground. You know how there's the hatch, and then there's I haven't watched Lost in so long. I'm forgetting the names of each of the different little locations, but there's several different little groups, and let's just say they're part of one hatch. There's another hatch over there a little bit away, and then they're supposed to watch a certain amount of people, and they all have to check in. It's a big system, and it's complicated. It's easy to understand when you're watching it. It's hard to explain, if that makes sense. But anyway, it was a very simple film. It didn't feel overly original. It was original to an extent, but for the same time, we've seen this kind of premise before, where there's two lead actors in a confined space dealing with each other. A lot of I know there was a lot of scenes like this in Pandorum, if you've seen that, with Ben Foster, Dennis Quaid. I know there's more than just two actors in that film, but there was a lot of just one-on-one scenes in that. I know there was a lot between Ben Foster and Dennis Quaid. Ben Foster, the girl in the movie, I forget her name, and then there was Cam. From the guy James from Twilight, Cam, whatever his name is, him and Dennis Quaid, a lot of scenes like that, and a very claustrophobic feel, very dark, very creepy. And I thought that the movie did a great job of creating this tension and suspense in your gut, because it's not a lot happened in terms of action. There was a couple more action-y scenes, but besides that, it was mainly character/dialogue driven, which is something Robert Kirkman excels at. And I know he wasn't the writer for this, but he did produce it, so I can see why he was attached to this project. As some of you might know, Djimon Hounsou's been in several big films over the year. He's had a couple smaller roles, a couple bigger roles. He was nominated for an Oscar in Blood Diamond. He was in Gladiator. He was recently in Fast and Furious 7, and that's one of his smaller roles, obviously. But he was in that. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just been in a lot of things. You see, I think Blood Diamond was really his breakthrough performance, in my opinion. That's when I first saw him, and I was like, wow, he did a fantastic job in this. And it's just, he's a great actor. Norman Reedus is a great actor, and it was fun to see the two bounce off of each other. But at the same time, I couldn't help but see a lot of Daryl in this role that Norman played. But that, I think, is just because Norman brings a lot of himself into Daryl. That's why. A lot of the mannerisms are the same. A lot of the way he acts in certain situations, I was like, that's exactly how Daryl would react. But that's just because Norman brings a lot of himself into each of his roles. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I thought that was great. I love Norman Reedus. I love the performance in this. I thought it was spot on. I have no gripes about it. I saw a little bit of Daryl in there. But like I said, that's basically just seeing Norman, because Norman is... He's a character. He's Norman. Norman plays himself, but different variations of himself. In another life, Norman could very well have been a Boondock Saint. In another life, he could have very well been, a real Daryl Dixon. It's just, if that makes sense. I'm getting way too deep. Anyway, I really enjoyed this film. I definitely think if you're a fan of just post-apocalyptic films, or you like Norman Reedus or Djimon Hounsou, or you like Robert Kirkman and you want to just show some support and watch his first feature film that he produced, you like Skybound, then go and check out this film. I'll be honest, I don't think it's going to be winning any Oscars or anything like that, but in terms of just a quality film to sit down, enjoy some quality acting, quality writing, and directing, just rent it on iTunes, buy it if you want. It was a good watch. I enjoyed it. I watched it like at 11 o'clock last night, and I was like, all right, I like this movie. I was intrigued by it. I did read the reviews of it first, and that kind of deterred me. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance. I like Norman Reedus. I like Djimon Hounsou, and the trailer looked pretty interesting. There was a couple moments where I was like, oh wow, it just got real. So I think you guys will enjoy it. Comment down below your thoughts if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, then go and definitely check it out. And have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll be back at you guys with plenty of videos throughout the day. Hopefully, my schedule's already always fluctuating and changing. And then tomorrow I will be at Walker Stalker Con Boston. I'll be doing quite an awesome video there. Hopefully I get to interview some cast members, get some more YouTube shout-outs, etc., etc. And then look out for my next Q&A, which will be coming at you on Monday sometime during the day, probably around midday on Monday. So enjoy that, and I'll be back at you guys later. Have yourselves a wonderful day.
Welcome to Lindbergh.